Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with some more Xbox news. I get a kick out of this because I remember before the Activision acquisition, I sat there and went, next week, we're doing more diversity. I saw a lot of Xbox coverage. I want to change that up. And here I am. I'm just like, wow, it has been nonstop. Normally, for those who are new to games coverage, normally January is the month everyone's getting the ball rolling slowly. You know, we're coming back from the holidays, shaking off the cobwebs. The cycle begins again. Normally, we do not dive straight into the deep end, but Xbox has had a plethora of leaks and had the biggest announcement in a really long while, all to start the year off. And now we've got more news to get into. Another exclusive leak. We have to also get into PlayStation's Counterpunch, which continues to leak, and it's really exciting, in my opinion, because we're going to be talking about my favorite, backwards compatibility. And last but certainly not least, Xbox Game Pass is doing something that's consumer-friendly on a level that I don't think most people are going to expect, because it's very different from your typical subscription service. So with that, if you're new here, I swear on my life, you'll see as the year goes on, we are a pretty diverse channel. Just right now, it's been a lot of Xbox, and it's been really exciting, so consider subscribing. With that, let's talk about Game Pass, because this is a pretty consumer-focused move. Even if Microsoft isn't really doing it, we'll say willingly, it works out pretty well for those of you in the UK. So let's read. This article from IGN is titled, Xbox Changing How It Handles Renewals for Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold in the UK. The changes by Microsoft were revealed as a part of a report spotted by Eurogamer following an investigation by the Competition and Markets Authority into the video game sector that highlighted a number of concerns about Microsoft's online gaming services. According to the CMA, the concerns related to Microsoft were particularly focused on the company's auto-renewal processes and revolved around several key factors. Whether or not the company was clearly upfront that its subscription contracts would renew, how easy it was to cancel or turn off automatic renewal, and whether people may not have realized that they were still paying for the service long after they had stopped using it. As per the report, the CMA has stated that Microsoft has undertaken a number of voluntary arrangements to improve its Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold auto-renewal services, which include the following. Better upfront information. Microsoft will provide more transparent upfront information to help customers understand their Xbox membership, making clear, for example, that the subscription will auto-renew unless the customer turns off auto-renewal. When the subscription will auto-renew, how much it will cost, and how the customer can receive a refund after an accidental renewal. Refunds as well. Microsoft will contact existing customers on recurring 12-month contracts and give them the option to end their contracts and claim a pro rata refund. Inactive memberships, this one is awesome. Microsoft will also contact existing customers who haven't used their memberships for a long time but are still paying. These customers will be reminded how to stop payments. And if they continue to not use their memberships, Microsoft will ultimately stop taking further payments. And then better information about price increases. Microsoft will give clear notifications of any future price rises and will ensure people know how to turn off auto renewal if they don't want to pay the higher price. Okay, so the last one there kind of tells us exactly what a lot of us are expecting. It's inevitable with what a subscription service is. Yes, the price will eventually go up, and Microsoft is putting into place these things that legally they will have to let us know. But the auto cancellation thing, if you're having a dead subscription service, is so necessary because the idea of subscription service growth for so many of these companies is to get you in on the cheap. Xbox has willingly used this tactic. Get in for $1 for a couple of months, and then suddenly you forget about the subscription service, and now you're paying $15 a month, and some people don't realize it. I always kind of blame the consumer on that front. If you don't see like 15 to 20 bucks exiting your bank account every month, are you keeping a good track of your finances? But still, it's awesome to know that if you have a dead service, then boom, good to go. They'll cancel it for you if you're in the UK. I hope this is something they bring to the US because I guess a lot of people do forget that they have a lot of subscription services there. So they will auto cancel that. Refunds are also good, but still something I wanted to just spotlight here in the early going. Now let's talk about another leaked exclusive game. So we just talked about the Gears of War collection. We talked about this new Activision Blizzard survival game. And there's another one. This one comes from Jeff Grubb, who was speaking on Giant Bomb in his show Grub Snacks, where the following headline had appeared on my feed, saying, Xbox is reportedly working on a Monster Hunter-style co-op game. That's according to GamesBeat journalist Jeff Grubb, who claimed in a Giant Bomb show currently behind a paywall on Thursday that Microsoft had actively courted developers to make a co-op title in order to differentiate its Game Pass lineup. Quote, they're working with certain affinity on what seems like a Monster Hunter-style game. a Monster Hunter clone, end quote, Jeff Grubb said. Quote, they see this gameplay style succeeding, and Microsoft's like, hey, we should try to make one of those. Is anyone out there going to pitch one, end quote. He added, quote, they want more variety in the kinds of games they're putting on Game Pass, and this is an example of that, end quote. He follows this up by saying, quote, they're like, we're probably not going to be able to get Monster Hunter on Game Pass. That would be pretty expensive, but we definitely want a game like that because we see the potential for that to grow and be a big thing with long-term support, end quote. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this one. First and foremost, I will continue to beat this drum here that Xbox has lied to a lot of people. When they insisted Game Pass isn't going to change the way that they make games, that they search out games. That is so untrue, in my honest opinion, because whether it be the Activision acquisition, the Bethesda one, or when I did an interview with Drinkbox's Graham Smith, who's a co-founder of that studio, they just released their Xbox exclusive, Nobody Saves the World. And even in that interview, he said, hey, Xbox came to us and said, we should put multiplayer in our game. They're looking at a Monster Hunter style game, which is co-op, and saying, hey, we should go ahead and get this in our service because it will grow it. And also, look at all the day one acquisitions on Game Pass, right? Look at every single game. What do they have in common? Multiplayer. Xbox wants multiplayer on Game Pass. Well, I don't think I really need to spell it out. I imagine most of you have connected the dots, but for those who haven't, what this means is that Xbox can effectively have you, let's say you like Rainbow Six Extraction. This just came out. It's a fun little 3-player co-op game. One of your buddies sees it and goes, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I'm not spending $40 on that one, though. It's like, well, Game Pass has this $1 sign-up you can do, and they get you into the service, right? Or it's $15. Dude, that's better than spending $40. Dude, that's better than spending $60. See what I mean? They're actively seeking and pushing multiplayer. And while I'm very happy to see we have things in the future like Starfield, Hellblade, etc., hopefully Fable, which are all these single-player games, Xbox is pushing big-time multiplayer. Just keep an eye out for this one because while I love Game Pass, they can say all that they want, that they're not changing how games are made and how they're seeking out games, but they are. So I just wanted to make that very clear up front. With that, let's talk about the notion of this game. It's developed by Certain Affinity. Who are they? Well, they actually have a long history with Xbox when I did some research here. If you go to their website, number one, they're working on a new original IP and hiring a lot of talent for it, which would make sense because it looks like this is the game they're working on with Xbox. However, what I thought was more telling here is a journey through 3 generations where they say in 2007, Microsoft asked Certain Affinity to develop multiplayer maps for the Halo 2 Blastacular map pack. And in 2009, they saw Certain Affinity contributing development to Halo Waypoint, which was an Xbox 360 app that we're all extremely familiar with today. So their relationship with Certain Affinity goes back many generations, and they've worked on some of the most important Halo content, right? Like Halo map packs. So there is something there that's been around for a while, and now they're bringing it to the next level by helping them make a brand new IP, which is going to be a Monster Hunter style game. I'm excited about this because I think of a lot of Monster Hunter clones I like compared to Monster Hunter itself. Like I've enjoyed Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise. I'm not as in love with them as the rest of the community is, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. But I think of Tokenin as one I did enjoy, and probably one of my favorite ones is Freedom Wars on the PS Vita. That's an amazing game where you're actually fighting off a prison sentence, and with every mission you complete, your prison sentence lowers. So as the name would suggest, Freedom Wars. There's also God Eater. I love God Eater 3. That is an amazing game too. It's a little more action focused, but there's a ton of great Monster Hunter style games out there. So I'm excited to see Microsoft maybe give a studio like Certain Affinity a big budget to work with to make a true Monster Hunter competitor. So this is actually pretty exciting and a smart get for them, regardless of how I feel about their big multiplayer push here. Again, I don't think it means they're eradicating single-player games, but it's something just to be on the lookout for. Otherwise, I'm more than open to seeing more options in this genre here because when I look back many years ago, one of the biggest reasons that PlayStation claimed that the Vita failed was because they didn't have their Monster Hunter game. They tried Soul Sacrifice, Freedom Wars, one I just mentioned. They tried all these games because Monster Hunter was propelling the 3DS so far forward. It was selling so many units. And to this day, Monster Hunter World is Capcom's most successful game. We're talking about the company that made Street Fighter 2. So there's a lot of money for these companies to make in the Monster Hunter genre, if you will. So it makes sense why Xbox would want to pursue this one, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Another exclusive to add to a list of many leaked ones, and I do feel bad for them on that front. Everything for Xbox leaks. everything. Last but not least, we need to talk about PlayStation's counterpunch to Xbox. Xbox made the biggest move we've seen in a very long time in our industry, and an aggressive one at that. What it's going to do is set off a bit of an arms race here. PlayStation will respond, and one response that they've been working on has been long in development, and that's this reported PlayStation Spartacus, what is effectively PlayStation Game Pass. We've talked about it separately in its own individual video here because I'm very interested in this idea that PlayStation is pushing. I think price is going to be the biggest thing for everyone here with Game Pass right now at $15 a month, and with everything you're adding week over week over week. It's incredible that it's still at $15, even with the acquisition of Activision and what that will eventually bring to the library. I think that the price will eventually go up, but right now I expect Microsoft to stand pat because PlayStation could potentially price themselves out of the market and sort of have this smart delivery moment where Xbox smart delivery, I'm guilty of it. We were all clowning on it like, yeah, this feature you're offering us, this invisible feature. And then you look at how PlayStation was working their next gen upgrades and how they're charging you $10 for them. And you go, wow, smart delivery is a real thing, and it's actually very good. So Xbox has a chance for Game Pass to be marketed because PlayStation blunders. So I expect them to stand pat no matter what deals they strike, no matter what day one Game Pass games they make. I expect them to stay at the $15 price tag that they're at right now because Spartacus is coming. And one of those features comes in a tier system of 3 different levels, backwards compatibility. And it looks like there's plenty of hints slipping through the cracks of the PlayStation Network that this is indeed on the way shortly, such as PlayStation Now cards being pulled from UK retailers to backwards compatibility patents by Mark Cerny. Probably the biggest giveaway of them all is on the PlayStation 5 storefront, where we're seeing PlayStation 3 games available for sale. Prince of Persia, Dead or Alive 5, plenty of them slipping through. That's not all. Suddenly the trophies for PlayStation were disabled and there was no icon, and when they came back ever so briefly, there it was, the PlayStation 3 trophy icon, and then it reverted once more. So PlayStation is undoubtedly trying to figure something out for back compat. This thrills me. I love this because Xbox, I feel, was silly to abandon back compat and FPS boost. They're claiming we can't figure anything out. Expand that team and figure something out, because I think it's a big part of the future is maintaining those past games. And even a recent generation like the Xbox One PS4 era, where these games are coming out and we expected them to just run on the Series X, the Series S, the PlayStation 5. With Xbox, they were doing FPS boost, and this was exciting because some games were actually performing better on Xbox thanks to this FPS boost technique, and they didn't have to do this next-gen upgrade, which would take time away from developers working on other projects, and of course that would cost money and all this stuff. So that could be avoided through FPS boost. I feel it's such a big mistake to shut down this program, even if they're saying they've exhausted all options. When there's a will, there's a way. PlayStation said that PlayStation 3 back compat was impossible. Look what's happening now. When they want to figure something out, there are some of the most talented minds of the world of entertainment at these companies. They are huge for a reason. If they want to figure it out, they've got the resources to do so. It's just about desire. And now we're seeing PlayStation, because Xbox is really lighting a fire under their ass, has the desire to figure out PS3 back compat. Oh, we'll figure out PS1, we'll figure out PS2, but that PS3 cell architecture, there's no way we're figuring that out. It looks like they have. If this means that I can throw a physical disc in my PlayStation 5 and play the game, oh my God, I will lose it. And if this means that we can play Sly Cooper on PS5, oh my God, I will lose it. Oh, this is a great counterpunch by PlayStation if they do it right. Here's the big if. Right now, the report, this is not official, but the report is that PlayStation will be putting back compat in a tier in this Spartacus service. That already is a severe downgrade no matter what games you offer compared to Xbox. Because with Xbox, you have the disc, you throw it in, boom, it plays. I do not have to pay to access back compat. That should never, ever be a thing. That is the Nintendo route, where we price tag nostalgia, where you prey on people who miss certain games and you make them pay for digitized goodies when they're just older games. So if PlayStation's taking that route, already they are taking a big L, that's backwards, a big L from me. I just can't help but express my disappointment on that one if that ends up being the case. But otherwise, this is an exciting service because, again, with what's happened here with Activision, I'm wondering what plans change for PlayStation now. What last minute changes do they make? Did they go from saying we're not going to do day one exclusives on our platform in our service to, you know what, Horizon, God of War, day one in Spartacus. We're going to start tracking numbers differently. It's not about sales. It's about player count now. Remember, Microsoft built an infrastructure for years and years and years to support this. I don't know if PlayStation can pivot back quickly. Will they offer special discounts to people a part of this service? There's a lot of question marks, and when this thing is revealed, we will be on it on this channel, whether it be to celebrate or to laugh or to cry. I don't know, but we will be here talking about it. I'm very excited to see how it develops, but for me, above all else, PS3 back compat. There's so many platinums I want to go out and get, so I can't wait to check this out. What do you think about all of this between the leaked Xbox exclusive, the Game Pass pricing, and the PlayStation back compat rumors? Fire away in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.